The emergency council session began as Ambassador Velthara entered the crystal chamber. Her blue feathers caught the light from the room's glowing walls. Around the circular table sat representatives from 12 different worlds. Each species looked different, but they all shared the same concern. High Counselor Nixandra floated above her seat. The ancient ethereal had no solid body, just pure energy contained in a shimmering form. She had led the hegemony for over 1,000 years. Her voice echoed in everyone's minds without using sound. "Show us the readings," she commanded. Counselor Zephyros of the Rillan activated the holographic display. The reptilian being's scales changed color as he worked the controls. Numbers and energy charts filled the air above the table. The data was clear and frightening. The energy signature came from the third spiral arm, Zephyros explained. A system the primitives call Sol. The power output suggests a vessel at least 15 kilometers in length. Gasps echoed around the chamber. Counselor Threndis of the Zephyrian species stood up. His insect-like features showed disbelief. Impossible. No species has ships larger than 2 kilometers. The treaties forbid it. That's what makes this so dangerous, Velthara said. Either someone is breaking the most sacred law in the galaxy, or we have a new player we never knew about. The hegemony had ruled space for 50,000 years. Their system was simple but effective. No single species could become too powerful. Ship sizes were limited. Certain weapons were banned. Technology was shared carefully to maintain balance. This system had prevented galactic wars for millennia. Each species focused on their strengths. The Kethmari were great pilots. The Rillan built the best computers. The ethereal provided wisdom and leadership. Together they were stronger than any one species could be alone. But now something threatened that balance. "What do we know about this Sol system?" asked Counselor Mordek of the stone-like granite people. Velthara accessed her files. "It contains a primitive species called humans. Our scouts classified them as pre-contact. They barely left their homeworld until recently. No faster than light travel. No energy weapons. They should not be capable of building anything like this. Could they have found ancient technology?" suggested Threndis. "Maybe ethereal ruins from the old expansion." Nixandre's form pulsed with thought. "Our ancestors explored that region long ago. No significant technology was left behind. These humans must have developed this themselves." The idea was terrifying. If a primitive species could build ships this large, what did that say about the hegemony's control? Were there other species out there unknown and possibly hostile? "I've already sent our enforcement fleet," Zephyros announced. Fleet Commander Calvis will investigate and report back. On a distant space station, marine biologist Bo Young Han worked late in her laboratory. She had given up studying Earth's oceans to focus on a bigger question. Were humans alone in the universe? Her radio telescopes picked up signals from deep space every day. Most were natural phenomena from stars and planets, but sometimes she found patterns that seemed artificial. Tonight was different. Her computer translated what seemed like a conversation between multiple speakers. The words made no sense, but the structure was clearly intelligent communication. As she worked through the night, a terrible picture emerged. The signals talked about humans as primitives and pre-contact species. They discussed sending ships to investigate something in the Sol system. Most frightening of all, they seemed surprised and concerned about humanity's technology. Bo Young realized that Earth had been watched for a very long time. Aliens existed, and they had been studying humans like insects in a glass case. Now something had changed. The Watchers were coming. She tried to contact the Global Space Command, but who would believe her? She needed more proof, more translations. But time was running out. In space, Fleet Commander Calves reviewed his mission briefings. His fleet of 12 ships represented the finest military force in the hegemony. Each vessel carried 5,000 crew members and enough firepower to destroy small moons. The ships were identical in size but specialized for different roles. 3 were heavy cruisers with massive energy cannons, 4 carried fighter squadrons, 3 more were loaded with missiles and torpedoes. The remaining 2 ships provided support and communications. "Sir will reach the target system in 12 hours, reported his navigator. Calvis nodded. He expected to find pirates or maybe a rogue scientific expedition. Some species occasionally tried to push the boundaries of the treaties. A show of force usually convinced them to surrender peacefully. But the energy readings bothered him. The signature was unlike anything in the hegemony databases. It suggested not just a large ship, but completely different technology. Most species used similar energy sources and faster-than-light drives. This was something new. His communications officer interrupted his thoughts. "Sir, I'm picking up transmissions from the target system. Very primitive radio signals. It looks like the local species is still using electromagnetic communications. Primitives rarely cause problems," Calves mused. "Maybe someone is using their system as a base. Pirates like to hide among undeveloped worlds." He ordered his ships to maximum speed. Whatever was happening in the Sol system, the hegemony fleet would put a stop to it. Back in the council chamber, the debate continued. Some members wanted to send more ships immediately. Others argued for patience and diplomacy. The ethereal remained silent, considering all possibilities. "What if we're wrong?" asked Councillor Velthara. "What if this species really did develop massive ships on their own? What if they're hostile?" The question hung in the air like a curse. For thousands of years, the hegemony had been the strongest force in the galaxy. They had never met anyone who could challenge their combined might. The idea of a rival was almost unthinkable. "Impossible," declared Zephyros. "No single species can match our collective technology. Even if they built one large ship, we have thousands of vessels across 12 worlds." But Nixandra's ancient memory stirred with worry. She remembered stories from before the hegemony, when young species fought terrible wars among the stars. Those dark times had ended when the great powers learned to cooperate. What if humanity had never learned that lesson? "We should prepare for the worst," she finally said. "If Commander Calves encounters hostility, we must be ready to respond with overwhelming force." The Council agreed to place all border fleets on high alert. Thousands of ships throughout hegemony space received new orders. If the humans proved dangerous, they would face the combined military might of 12 advanced civilizations. None of them realized they were preparing to fight an enemy they didn't understand. Humanity had spent its entire history fighting itself. Their ships weren't just large. They were designed by warriors who knew how to win impossible battles. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when an unstoppable force met an immovable object. The age of peaceful cooperation was ending, and neither side knew what would replace it. In 6 hours, two very different philosophies of civilization would meet among the stars. One believed in controlled growth and careful balance. The other believed in pushing limits and taking risks. The universe watched and waited to see which approach would prove stronger. The massive ship floated in the darkness of space like a sleeping giant. Admiral Hyunwoo Kim stood on the command bridge, watching the final systems come online. The UES Colossus stretched 15 kilometers from nose to tail. It was the largest thing humans had ever built. "Admiral, all weapon systems are ready," reported Chief Engineer Dayun Park. Her voice carried excitement mixed with fear. They all knew what the ship could do. It could destroy entire planets if needed. The bridge hummed with quiet activity. 50,000 crew members worked throughout the ship. They had trained for years for this moment. The Colossus was more than a warship. It was humanity's insurance policy against whatever dangers might be waiting in the dark spaces between stars. Hyunwoo looked out at the asteroid belt surrounding them. For 10 years, robots and workers had carved metal and rare elements from these floating rocks. Every piece had gone into building this monster. The ship's hull was thick enough to stop nuclear weapons. Its reactors could power entire cities. "Status report," Hyunwoo called out. "Fusion antimatter reactors running at 98%, Daewon said. "All systems green across the board." Intelligence Officer Taemin Lee stepped forward with a tablet. "Sir, our mission briefing is ready." Long-range sensors picked up strange energy signals from the Kepler 442 system. "Command wants us to check it out." Hyunwoo nodded. This was their first real mission. For months they had run tests and training exercises near Earth. Now it was time to see what the Colossus could really do. The ship was built for war, but he hoped they would never need to use its full power. Navigator Sujin Choi worked at her station, checking and rechecking numbers. "Sir, jump calculations are complete. We can reach Kepler 442 in 6 hours using the Alcubierre drive." The Alcubierre drive was humanity's newest invention. It bent space around the ship, letting them travel faster than light. Other human ships used older, slower methods. The Colossus was the first to get this new technology. "All hands prepare for jump," Hyunwoo announced over the ship's communication system. Throughout the massive vessel, crew members secured equipment and took their positions. The bridge grew quiet. Everyone focused on their tasks. This was the moment they had all trained for. The ship's engines began to hum with growing power. Reality seemed to bend around them as space itself twisted and folded. With a flash of light, the Colossus disappeared from the Sol system, far across the galaxy. In a place humans had never seen, alarms began to sound. The jump had created an energy wave that traveled faster than the ship itself. Ancient sensors placed throughout space by beings humanity had never met detected the massive surge of power. In the crystal halls of a distant world, Ambassador Velthara of the Kethmari studied the readings. Her bird-like features showed concern. The energy signature was unlike anything in their databases. No known ship could produce such a massive distortion in space-time. She activated her communication device. Emergency Council session. We have a situation. The Hegemony Council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. 12 different alien species worked together to keep peace. They had strict rules about technology and ship sizes. No single species was allowed to build vessels larger than 2 kilometers. This kept any one group from becoming too powerful. The readings from the human solar system suggested something impossible. A ship at least 7 times the legal limit had just activated a faster-than-light drive. Either their sensors were broken, or someone had violated the most important treaty in galactic history. Back on the Colossus, the crew felt the ship drop out of faster-than-light travel. Through the viewports, they could see a new star system. 3 planets orbited a yellow sun. The second planet looked promising for their mission. Arrival confirmed, Sujin reported. We are in the Kepler 442 system. All systems normal after the jump, Hyunwoo smiled. The Alcubierre drive had worked perfectly. They had traveled 27 light-years in just 6 hours. Before this technology, the same trip would have taken decades. Begin scanning the system, he ordered. I want to know what created those energy readings. Science Officer Jae Hyun Song started his work immediately. His sensors reached out across the solar system, looking for anything unusual. The second planet showed interesting mineral deposits and strange electromagnetic activity. Sir, I'm picking up structured radio signals from the planet, Jae-hyun said. They're very faint, but they don't look natural. Tae-min looked up from his intelligence station. Could be an automated beacon or probe from another species. Hyunwoo felt his heart beat faster. If there were artificial signals, it might mean they had found signs of alien life. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. The Colossus might be about to answer that question. Plot a course for the second planet, he ordered. But keep us at a safe distance. We'll study it from orbit first. The massive ship moved through space like a floating city. Its engines pushed it toward the unknown world. None of the crew knew they were being watched. The Hegemony's enforcement fleet was already on its way. Fleet Commander Kalves led 12 of the most advanced ships in the Hegemony Navy. Each vessel was exactly 2 kilometers long, the maximum size allowed by treaty. They carried the best weapons and shields their species could build. Time to intercept? Kalves asked his navigator. 18 hours at maximum speed, came the reply. Kalves studied the energy readings again. Something about them bothered him. The signature was too clean, too powerful. It suggested technology beyond what most hegemony species possessed. Maybe pirates had somehow gotten their hands on experimental weapons, or maybe something worse was happening. On the Colossus, Communications Officer Dong Hun Yu monitored all frequencies. Space seemed quiet except for the faint signals from the planet below. He had no idea that 12 alien warships were racing toward them. Admiral, Daun called from her engineering station. All systems are running perfectly. The ship is ready for anything. Hyunwoo hoped she was right. The Colossus was powerful, but it was also untested in real combat. If they met hostile aliens, they would find out quickly whether humanity's biggest gamble had paid off. The ship moved closer to the mysterious planet, carrying 50,000 humans toward their first meeting with alien intelligence. Behind them, faster than light, the Hegemony fleet approached with weapons ready. Neither side knew what was about to happen. The galaxy was about to change forever. The space around Kepler 442 erupted in violence as humanity met its first alien enemy. Fleet Commander Kalves watched his tactical display in horror as 2 of his ships disappeared in nuclear fire. The human vessel hadn't just defended itself, it had struck back with weapons unlike anything in hegemony databases. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Kalves shouted into his communicator. Reform battle line at maximum range. But the hegemony fleet was already broken. 3 ships drifted powerless after the first human attack. The remaining vessels scattered like frightened fish, their careful formation destroyed by pure shock. On the Colossus Bridge, Weapons Officer Sun Hee Choi coordinated the devastating response with calm precision. Her screens showed targeting solutions for all 12 alien ships. The railgun systems were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Railgun batteries 2 through 7. Fire at will, she commanded. Target their engine sections. Tungsten rods accelerated to 15% of light speed, struck the alien ships with unstoppable force. Hegemony shields were designed to stop energy weapons and plasma attacks. They couldn't handle solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. The rods punched through shields, armor, and hull like bullets through paper. Alien ships that had survived 1,000 battles were crippled in seconds by weapons they couldn't understand. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the battle with mixed feelings. He had hoped for peaceful contact, but these aliens had chosen violence. Now they were learning why humanity had built the largest warship in the galaxy. Damage report, he called to Chief Engineer Daeun Park. Minor scoring on the outer hull, Daeun responded. Shields are regenerating. All weapon systems operating normally. The alien attacks barely touched us, sir. The truth was becoming clear to both sides. The hegemony fleet had expected to fight a normal ship using normal tactics. They had prepared for an enemy with similar weapons and defenses. Instead, they faced something that operated by completely different rules. Fighter Wing Commander Haijin Lee received permission to launch her squadrons. All wings, this is Commander Lee. Launch when ready. The Colossus opened dozens of launch bays along its massive hull. Hundreds of small fighters poured out like angry insects. But these weren't normal piloted craft. Each fighter was controlled by an artificial intelligence that could react faster than any biological pilot. The AI fighters moved in perfect coordination, sharing information and tactics instantly. They swarmed toward the remaining alien ships in patterns that confused and overwhelmed the hegemony pilots. Calves tried to organize a defense against the fighter attack. All squadrons, intercept those fighters. Standard engagement pattern. His pilots launched their own ships to meet the human attack. The alien fighters were larger and more heavily armed than the human craft. In normal combat, they should have easily defeated the smaller opponents. But the AI fighters didn't fight like normal pilots. They used tactics no biological mind would attempt. Coordinated kamikaze attacks, impossible maneuvers that would kill living pilots, swarm formations that required split-second timing across hundreds of vessels. Within minutes, most of the alien fighters were destroyed or retreating. The AI squadrons regrouped and began attacking the main hegemony ships directly. This is impossible, Calves muttered as he watched his fleet being systematically destroyed. Their technology is completely unknown. How can primitives build weapons like this? His communications officer looked up from her station with fear in her eyes. Sir, should we request reinforcements from the hegemony? Calves realized that reinforcements wouldn't help. His 12 ships represented some of the finest military vessels in known space. If they couldn't defeat this human ship, no normal fleet could. But he had one last duty to perform. The galaxy needed to know what was happening here. Open emergency channels to all hegemony worlds, he ordered. Maximum broadcast power. The transmission reached across known space at faster than light speed. On 12 different worlds, military commanders and government leaders received the same terrifying message. This is Fleet Commander Calves of Enforcement Squadron 7. We have encountered an unknown species in the Sol system. Their vessel is impossibly large, approximately 15 kilometers in length. Their weapons are beyond our understanding. We have lost 8 ships in 30 minutes of combat. Calves paused as another of his vessels exploded under human fire. Only 4 ships remained operational, and they were retreating as fast as their engines could manage. Request immediate evacuation and full fleet reinforcement. This species represents a threat unlike anything we have faced. They call themselves humans, and their technology appears to be completely independent of hegemony development. The transmission ended as Calves's own ship took a direct hit from a human railgun. His bridge erupted in sparks and smoke. Half his crew was dead or wounded. His mighty warship, pride of the Rillan Navy, was dying around him. On the Colossus, Admiral Hyunwoo received reports from across his ship. The battle was essentially over. Of the 12 alien vessels, 8 were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 4 were retreating at maximum speed. Sir, Communications Officer Dong Hun Yu reported, "I'm picking up wideband transmissions from the retreating ships. It sounds like they're calling for help." Hyunwoo realized that this battle was just the beginning. Somewhere in the galaxy, alien civilizations were learning that humanity existed. Soon more ships would come. Possibly many more ships. "All weapons, ceasefire," he ordered. "Let the survivors retreat. We need to send our own message." The main communication system activated with maximum power. Hyunwoo's image was broadcast on every frequency the ship could generate, ensuring it would reach anyone listening in the area. "This is Admiral Hyunwoo Kim of the United Earth ship Colossus, representing humanity and the United Earth systems. We came here in peace, seeking only to explore and understand. We were attacked without provocation by your enforcement fleet." He paused, choosing his words carefully. This message would likely be heard by alien governments across the galaxy. "We have defended ourselves successfully, but we take no pleasure in the destruction of your ships. We are willing to discuss peaceful relations with any civilization that approaches us with respect, but we will defend ourselves against any threat." The message continued broadcasting as the last hegemony ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel. They carried news that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. On 12 different worlds, emergency sessions began as leaders tried to understand what had happened. A primitive species had somehow built a ship larger than anything in their fleets. They had weapons that made hegemony technology look obsolete. Most importantly, they had the will to use those weapons when threatened. For the first time in 50,000 years, the hegemony faced an enemy they couldn't simply overwhelm with numbers. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. The age of human isolation was over. What came next would determine whether Earth joined the galactic community as a friend or conquered it as an enemy. In the crystal halls of the hegemony capital, High Counselor Nixandra received the battle reports with growing alarm. The universe had just become a much more dangerous place. The UES Colossus settled into orbit around the strange planet. Science Officer Jae-hyun Song watched his screens fill with data. The world below was locked in place, showing the same face to its star forever. One side burned under eternal sunlight while the other froze in endless darkness. "Fascinating," Jae-hyun muttered as he studied the readings. "The twilight zone between day and night shows massive storm systems. But look at these mineral deposits." Admiral Hyunwoo moved to look over his shoulder. The planet's crust contained rare metals that Earth desperately needed. Mining operations here could support dozens of new ships like the Colossus. "Captain Yunseo," Hyunwoo called to the mining coordinator, "prepare a survey team. I want to know if we can safely extract materials from the surface." Captain Yunseo Kang nodded and began organizing her industrial teams. The Colossus carried complete mining and manufacturing equipment. They could turn raw materials into finished starship components without returning to Earth. Communications Officer Dong Hun Yu monitored his instruments while the scientists worked. Space seemed peaceful. Radio signals from the planet suggested some kind of automated systems, but nothing that looked like active intelligence. That changed everything when his board suddenly lit up with new contacts. "Sir," Dong-hun called out urgently. Multiple contacts dropping out of faster than light at the edge of the system. "Count is 12 vessels, each approximately 2 kilometers in length." The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the tactical display showing 12 unknown ships arranged in attack formation. They had appeared without warning and were moving directly toward the Colossus. "Red alert," Hyunwoo ordered. Throughout the massive ship, alarms began to sound. 50,000 crew members rushed to battle stations they had drilled on but never used in real combat. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," Dong-hun reported. It's in an alien language." Linguistic specialist Myung Lim activated the translation artificial intelligence system. Arya had studied every human language and could learn new ones by analyzing speech patterns. As the alien signals continued, the computer began to decode their meaning. "Admiral," Myung said after several tense minutes, "Arya has made partial translations. They're demanding to know which hegemony species built our ship. They're also asking why we violated something called size treaties." Hyunwoo felt his blood turn cold. These aliens had rules about ship sizes, and the Colossus was apparently breaking those rules. They thought humanity belonged to some kind of galactic government. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Broadcast on all frequencies." The main screen activated, showing Hyunwoo in his command uniform. Behind him, the bridge crew worked at their stations. He tried to look calm and peaceful despite the weapons pointed at his ship. "This is Admiral Hyunwoo Kim of the United Earthship Colossus. We represent the species called humanity from the Sol system. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact with your civilization." The response came quickly. Fleet Commander Kalves appeared on screen, his reptilian features showing confusion and growing anger. Behind him, the bridge of his ship bustled with military activity. "Humans. There is no human species in the hegemony records. You are operating an illegal vessel in violation of galactic treaties. Surrender immediately for inspection." "I'm afraid we don't understand," Hyunwoo replied. "Humanity has never signed any galactic treaties. We built this ship with our own technology and have every right to use it peacefully." The alien commander's scales changed color rapidly. "Impossible. No primitive species has the technology to build vessels of this size. You must have stolen hegemony technology or violated the non-interference directives." Tactical Officer In-Ho Bay leaned close to the Admiral's ear. "Sir, they're powering weapons and moving into attack formation. Their energy signatures suggest plasma-based systems, roughly equivalent to our defensive capabilities." Hyunwoo realized the situation was spiraling toward violence. These aliens couldn't accept that humanity had developed advanced technology independently. Their entire worldview was based on controlling technological development. "Commander Kalves," he said formally, "we are willing to discuss these treaties you mention, but we will not surrender our ship or our crew. Surely we can resolve this peacefully." "You will comply with hegemony law," Kalves responded. "Reduce power and prepare to be boarded. Continued resistance will be met with force." The alien ships spread out in an attack pattern that surrounded the Colossus. Their weapons glowed with building energy, 12 ships against 1, but each of their vessels was less than 1/7 the size of the human ship. "Admiral," In-Ho reported quietly, "they don't understand what they're facing. Their tactics assume we're a normal 2-kilometer vessel that's somehow disguised. They're treating us like a single target instead of the mobile fortress we actually are." Mi Young continued working with Arya to decode more alien communications. "Sir, they're coordinating their attack. The fleet commander is ordering them to disable our engines first, then force surrender." Hyunwoo had to make a choice that would affect the future of humanity's place in the galaxy: fight against superior numbers, or surrender to aliens who saw his people as criminals or pirates. "All hands, this is the Admiral," he announced over the ship's communication system. "We are about to engage in humanity's first battle with an alien species. We did not start this fight, but we will finish it. Show them what human engineering can accomplish." Weapons Officer Sun-Hee Choi activated the Colossus's weapon systems. Hundreds of railguns, missile launchers, and energy weapons came online. The ship had been designed to fight entire fleets if necessary. "Weapons ready, Admiral," Sun-Hee reported. "All systems show green." The alien fleet opened fire first. Plasma beams and energy missiles streaked across space toward the Colossus. The attacks were coordinated and powerful, designed to quickly disable a normal-sized vessel. They struck the human ship's shields and armor with tremendous force. The Colossus shuddered under the impact, but its massive structure absorbed the damage easily. Warning lights flashed on the bridge, but no critical systems were damaged. "Minor damage to outer hull sections," reported Chief Engineer Dae-Yun Park. "Shields are holding at 92%. No injuries reported." Kalves stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His fleet had just delivered enough firepower to cripple any known ship. The human vessel had barely noticed the attack. "Impossible," he whispered. "Continue firing!" All ships maximum power. But Hyunwoo had seen enough. These aliens had chosen to fight instead of talk. Now they would learn what humanity could do when threatened. "Return fire," he ordered quietly. "Show them we're not helpless." The Colossus responded with devastating precision. Railguns fired tungsten rods at tremendous speed, while missiles and energy beams targeted multiple alien ships simultaneously. The human weapons were designed for completely different purposes than anything in the hegemony arsenal. 2 alien ships vanished in brilliant explosions. 3 more went dark as their power systems failed. The remaining vessels scattered in panic, no longer maintaining their coordinated formation. The Battle of Kepler 442 had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency session in the crystal chamber had lasted 3 days. Representatives from all 12 hegemony species argued about how to respond to the human threat. Some wanted immediate military action. Others urged caution and diplomacy. High Counselor Nixandra floated above the chaos, her ancient mind processing thousands of years of galactic history. Never before had the hegemony faced a challenge like this, a single species with technology that made their combined fleets seem outdated. "We must mobilize everything," declared Emergency Counselor Threndus. His insect-like features showed panic barely held in check. "Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. If we don't act now, these humans will destroy our entire civilization." Ambassador Velthara spread her blue wings in disagreement. Commander Calves reported that they offered peaceful contact first. "We attacked them. Perhaps we should try diplomacy before starting a galactic war." The debate raged on, but Nixandra had already made her decision. She had lived through the Dark Ages before the hegemony was formed. She remembered what happened when advanced species fought each other without restraint. "Silence," her mental voice commanded, and the chamber fell quiet. "I will go myself. A delegation will meet with these humans face to face." Shocked gasps echoed around the table. High Counselors never left their protected worlds. They ruled from safety while others carried out their orders. "Too dangerous," protested Counselor Zephyros. "We don't know what these creatures are capable of." "That's exactly why I must go," Nixandra replied. "We cannot make decisions about humanity without understanding who they really are." On Earth, Director Jin-A Moon stood in the Global Space Command Center, surrounded by screens showing news from around the world. The Colossus had sent a full report of the battle. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and they had made a dramatic first impression. "Status." "Report," she called to her senior staff. "Public reaction is mixed," reported Communications Director Sungmin Park. "Some people are celebrating our victory. Others are terrified about alien retaliation. Religious leaders are claiming everything from the end times to humanity's destiny among the stars." Jin-A studied the tactical reports from the battle. 12 alien ships destroyed or disabled by one human vessel. The victory was impressive, but it raised difficult questions about the future. "What about our other Titan-class ships?" she asked. "The Leviathan is 60% complete," answered Chief Engineer Woo Sung Kim. "The Behemoth and Dreadnought are in early construction phases. If we need them finished quickly—" "Do it," Jin-A interrupted. "If that hegemony decides to send a real fleet against us, one ship won't be enough, no matter how powerful the Colossus is." Meanwhile, Bo Young-han worked frantically to decode more intercepted alien communications. Her discovery of the alien surveillance had been proven correct in the most dramatic way possible. Now her linguistic skills were desperately needed. "I'm picking up massive communication traffic," she reported to her supervisors. "Multiple species discussing something called the Treaty of Limitations. It sounds like their entire government is based on preventing any one group from becoming too powerful." The implications were staggering. Humanity had accidentally challenged the fundamental principle that held alien civilization together. No wonder they had reacted with immediate violence. In space, the Colossus maintained its position near Kepler 442b. Admiral Hyunwoo had received new orders from Earth Command. "Continue the mission, but prepare for possible alien contact, diplomatic or military." "Sir," reported Science Officer Jae-hyun Song. "I'm detecting incoming faster-than-light signatures. Multiple contacts approaching the system." The bridge crew tensed, remembering the last time alien ships had arrived unexpectedly. But these signals were different. Fewer ships moving slower, broadcasting identification codes. "It's a diplomatic convoy," translated Mi Young Lim after Arya analyzed their communications. "They're requesting permission to approach under something called the Banner of Truce." Hyunwoo made a decision that would affect human history. Permission granted, but maintain full defensive readiness. The alien ships that emerged from faster than light were unlike the military vessels from the first encounter. These were clearly designed for peaceful purposes. Elegant curves instead of angular weapon emplacements. Bright colors instead of military gray. The largest ship was only 1 kilometer long, but it carried something unprecedented. High Counselor Nixandra herself had come to meet humanity. "This is quite an honor," observed Chief Diplomat Kyung-ho Shin. According to their communications, no High Counselor has ever left hegemony space before. The first face-to-face meeting between humans and the hegemony took place in the Colossus conference room. The space had been designed to impress visiting Earth diplomats, but now it hosted beings from across the galaxy. Nixandra's energy form flickered with curiosity as she studied the human representatives. Admiral Hyunwoo, Dr. Shin, and xenobiologist So-Ra Young sat across from beings that looked like walking bird people, crystalline structures and floating jellyfish. "Your species is remarkable," Nixandra began, her thoughts translating directly into human speech. "In 50,000 years of galactic governance, we have never encountered independent technological development of this level." Dr. Shin leaned forward with interest. "Your hegemony controls technological development how?" "Through careful limitation and cooperation," explained Ambassador Velthara. "No species is allowed to develop weapons or ships beyond certain specifications. This prevents war and maintains peace." So-Ra Young, who had studied alien biology in her dreams for years, asked the crucial question: what happens when a species refuses to accept those limitations? The silence that followed was telling. The hegemony had never faced that situation before. "Your approach is different," Nixandra finally admitted. "Humans seem to push boundaries that other species accept. Your ship shouldn't exist according to our understanding of physics and politics." Admiral Hyunwoo smiled. "Humanity has always believed that the only real limitations are the ones we accept. We built the Colossus because we thought we might need it. Recent events suggest we were right." The negotiations that followed lasted for weeks. Humanity wanted recognition as an independent power. The hegemony wanted assurance that humans wouldn't destabilize their carefully maintained order. The breakthrough came when So-Ra Young proposed something unprecedented. Instead of limiting human development, why not learn from it? Humanity's willingness to take risks had led to innovations that could benefit everyone. "You're suggesting we abandon the Treaty of Limitations?" asked Velthara in shock. "I'm suggesting you evolve it," So-Ra replied. "Instead of preventing growth through fear, encourage growth through cooperation. Humanity offers to share certain technologies in exchange for galactic citizenship, not as a junior member but as an equal partner." The idea was revolutionary. For the first time in millennia, the hegemony would have to change their fundamental approach to governance. High Counselor Nixandra studied the humans with her ancient wisdom. She saw something in them that reminded her of her own species in their youth. The drive to explore, to push boundaries, to refuse easy answers. "The galaxy has been stagnant for too long," she finally admitted. "Perhaps it's time for change." The Treaty of New Horizons was signed 3 months later. Humanity became the 13th member of what was now called the Galactic Confederation. The age of artificial limitations ended, replaced by voluntary cooperation and shared advancement. Admiral Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Colossus as they prepared to return to Earth. Around them flew diplomatic vessels from all member species, each carrying representatives eager to establish relations with humanity. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Dong-Hoon Yu, "we're receiving signals from beyond hegemony space. Other species have heard about the treaty. Some of them want to join the new confederation." Hyunwoo smiled as he looked out at the stars. Humanity had set out to explore one star system and ended up changing the political structure of the entire galaxy. "Plot a course for home," he ordered. "Earth Command will want a full report, and I suspect we're going to need those other Titan-class ships much sooner than planned." The galaxy was evolving, and humanity had become the catalyst for change. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in 50,000 years it was also unlimited. In the depths of space, unknown species watched the birth of the Galactic Confederation with interest. Some saw opportunity, others saw threat. The humans had proven that the old order could be challenged. Now everyone wanted to know what other impossible things humanity might achieve when they truly set their minds to it.